this is one of the burn rate controls, and when it's up, it lets the most air in for the fire. When it's down, it's the least. For starting the fire, start up. Down here, there's another combustion control, it's called, and it goes in and out, and we're going to start with it in, and that's maximum air as well. Then we open this with this lever here. You pull it up and you open it, being careful to hold it out here on this fiber part, it's called, because the metal here gets really, really hot.
Okay.
In fact, this glass is going to get extremely hot.
Okay.
You can burn yourself on the glass. So once this thing is going, you only want to touch this thing. Okay. So, there you go. You want this like that? Is that good or bad?
That's good.
Okay. So we want to start the fire and build up the heat very slowly. So this morning we began with 2 pieces of newspaper crumpled up and some kindling. So there's some kindling right outside the door. And so these are my bits of kindling. And one of the things that you don't want to do is put too much wood on at once. So I'm going to start with my 2 pieces of newspaper. And I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 pieces of kindling in there.
And we'll leave a little ash from before.
Yeah, it'll leave a little ash. For some reason it likes that. So put in some of this. And that's probably enough. Now, other thing is this door, when you're starting it out like this, is probably going to end up open maybe a 1/2 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch, not very much, just so it gets a little more air so that you get the draft going up the flue. So we start this, light the newspaper, and kind of have the door partially, just open a little bit.
Maybe a 1/2 inch.
Yeah, it's about a 1/2 inch. And so the kindling starts going. Once this kindling is going, we'll take 1 piece of wood, a not too big piece, and we'll add that to the fire and let that get going a little bit. And what's happening is, at first, the wood is getting its water boiled out of it by the heat that's in there. Then the wood begins to actually burn. And so if you pile too much wood on there all at once, it reduces the temperature of the fire and it can't get the water boiled out of the wood. Always being careful not to have things in front here because it's going to be very, very hot. So this would be a bad place to keep the lighter, or a pile of newspapers or books or anything. You want to have this area very clear of anything that might burn. So now we're just kind of waiting for the kindling to get going. Probably don't have to film it the whole time, but you can if you want to.
All right, we're going to pause. We'll tell you how long it took. How much time has elapsed.
All right. Say when. Okay, so you can see in there the kindling is picking up speed. It's burning pretty well. I'm going to add a stick that's a little bigger than anything else now. It's not quite ready to get a log going, so we'll just put the next piece in. One important thing is always open the door slowly. If you just wing it open, you might pull smoke out and get smoke in the cabin. So I generally open it slowly, watching to see that no smoke is coming out.
Tell them where you burned yourself.
Yeah, I will. So these metal parts in here are going to be super duper hot, and when you're putting wood in, you know, you don't want to touch them because you can burn yourself like I did. So I'm going to start using my left hand. I'm going to add a little more wood. The idea here is to slowly add fuel to the stove. Never dumping on a whole lot of wood at once. So now we'll go back to this partially open door. And maybe give that 5 minutes and then it can go some more. Okay, so we can see here this got a pretty good kindling fire going, and it's got to be enough heat in there to be able to start this piece of wood on fire. So we're going to slowly open the door. And add this piece. So, without burning ourselves. Okay, so we can see now that last piece of aspen we put in is burning nicely. At this point I'll tell you that this glass is too hot to touch. So we've been burning this fire for about 15 minutes and you can't even get near it. So got to be real careful with the door now because it's super hot. That piece of wood is burning. And so I'm going to add another piece, slowly opening the door. So far we've always had this door cracked about a ½ inch or so to let a little more air in there to get the fire going. But once the wood is burning, as you can see with bright yellow flames here, we can go ahead and close this door, and then if you watch, what's going to happen is the flames are going to slow down and they're going to turn more from bright yellow to blue. And that's what we're looking at. This up-down knob and drop it down, and that slows the burn rate down even more, so it'll last through the night. We don't want to burn the wood up halfway through the night, so you want it to last as long as it can by controlling the burn rate. Another thing that's going on here, you might be able to hear a fan that just went on, and down low here, hard to see, there's a speed control knob and a switch next to it, which you probably can't see at all. When the switch is in the up position, it's a rocker. When it's in the up position, that's automatic mode. So as soon as the firebox is hot, the fan will go on. If the fire goes out during the night and the firebox cools off, the fan will automatically turn off. So it's an automatic fan control. You can force it on or off if you want, but I have it on automatic, and you can turn it up so it's really blowing hard. It makes a fair amount of noise. But I like to have it on a much lower speed, so there's some hot air coming out up here. You can feel hot air coming out up here, but it's not too noisy. And then this thing just closes like that. And you open it by pulling on it like this. So you open this by just kind of pulling gently on the edge. The fan controls are in there. So I might have turned that down too much. I'm going to turn up the burn rate a little bit more. It looked like I might have had the burn rate a little bit too low because the wood sort of stopped burning, so I made this go back up. So this is kind of get a feel for it. You know, if there's too much yellow flame, maybe go to halfway. You know, if there's still too much yellow flame, go down a little more. If it looks like you're losing your blue flame, take it back up, wait a few minutes and look. So we'll go back up and then we'll see it sort of get going again. You don't have to worry about losing the fire. It's not going to go out if there's wood in there because there's still plenty of heat. Okay. This combustion control knob here that goes in and out, when you push it in, it's maximum air, so highest burn rate. When you pull it out, it starts a timer that slowly takes it back to a slower burn rate.
So repeat that again.
When you
Push.
push it in, that's maximum air, maximum burn rate, highest burn rate. Pulling it out starts a timer, and then it'll go from highest burn rate to a lower burn rate in over like a 20-minute period.
And that's it, in or out. That's all you're concerned about
Yeah.
with that one?
Yep. So, now we're just going to show how we clean this up before leaving. And this is now cool. Well, it's a little bit warm, but it's okay to go in there. The embers are more or less burned out. There's still some heat in there though. So very important that we use this metal can. And if this is too hot, then you can't do this because you could burn yourself. So we get the metal can.
There's the fire ring.
What?
Okay.
There's a little fire ring.
So you see it's out that direction.
Okay, so we emptied our bucket, and now I'm just gonna scoop this stuff out of here, and you know, it's ash, and so once again, slow movements are your friend to keep it from flying all around. But first, the majority of this stuff is pretty loose smoke that'll come off pretty well with a wet paper towel. So I have that. I'm going to wipe it down and we'll see how dirty that comes out.
Can you move your left hand? There we go.
See. Yee. Alright, quite a bit came off. Now I'll use this cleaner stuff. And the way I've been doing it has been putting a little on the little yellow scrubbing pad, then dabbing it on. I think it works better if you let it sit there for a couple minutes. So I start on the thick parts and just kind of dab it on there so it can do its work, moving all around and doing the rest. All right, so I coated this up really well, and so this stuff came out of here in this tidy little bucket, and that lives under the kitchen sink. Now this is the elbow grease phase, and here we go.
Wow, does that look nice?
Yes, the elbow grease worked, and there were a couple of extra thick spot up here in the corner, which I use that little blue scraper.
Okay,
But
look at that, like
really,
new.
really came out clean and
Good. And there's about how much ash? You
I don't
leave a
know.
little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's what they want
And
you to
then
do.
it's important to get all that cleaner wiped off this glass really well. So I've gone a couple of times with a wet paper towel and get all that white soapy stuff off. Make sure there's none anywhere around on the metal anywhere, and then we're done.
Great.
Yay.
Thank you.